Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fireside Fitness, a place for real conversations with the people who are shaping the fitness industry today. I'm Rochelle Volk, your host. Today, we're talking about having the courage to do things differently. We unpack what it truly means to be bold in today's fitness industry and how to build a gym that stands out in a competitive market. I'm joined by Mel Tempest, longtime gym owner, industry leader, and global speaker who has been shaping the fitness industry for over 2 decades. From launching her first club in a church hall in 2003 to building a thriving community-driven business, she's become a strong voice for innovation, leadership, and collaboration in fitness. Today, through her global events, podcast, and advisory work, Mel helps gym owners around the world grow, adapt, and stand out in an ever-evolving industry. So welcome, Mel. Thanks for joining
Thank you
us.
very much, Rochelle, for having me on the show. And thank you for that amazing introduction. I love it. Thank you.
I think your resume speaks for itself, and we'll get into all of those things and what you're up to here. But just to kind of kick things off, I'd love to go all the way back to the beginning of your journey with fitness, with business here, and just talk to you about when you started your gym, Body and Soul. So this is in Australia, in a church
Yes.
hall with zero members at the time, and largely based on just your own passion for group fitness and wanting to share that with your community. So can you walk me through what gave you the confidence just to take that first leap all the way back in 2003?
So how it happened was I was working, so I got qualified in December 1999 and I was working at a leisure center, wanted to teach a particular dance class called Body Jam. The group fitness coordinator said, no, you won't be teaching that here. And I got into the industry very, very late in life, so around 35, 36. And I was kind of like, how can the person that you aspire to be like say that you can't do something? They're supposed to inspire you to be the best that you can be. That's what the fitness industry is about. So I came home and said to my husband that I wanted to open up a gym. Now, remember, I qualified in December 1999, had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I was only a group fitness instructor, circuit instructor. But that's how the journey started. So over that period of time, there was about an 18-month period of time where none of the gyms in Ballarat would give me a job because they'd heard that I wanted to open up my own gym. And eventually we found a property. And at the 11th hour, the landlord changed his mind. So I've got the landlord changed his mind. I'm out of work. I can't teach classes anywhere. My only exercise was, walking around the local lake here at Ballarat. And then we found a church hall came up for rent on the main roundabout here in Ballarat, opposite McDonald's. And I had to go and sit down and tell the church panel, which was all the elders of the church, why I would be a great tenant. And I was able to do that, but we didn't open the church hall as a whole gym. We only opened a room at the back, which was about, look, at the most 100 square meters. It had no toilets. So if the members wanted to go to the toilet, they had to run across to the church car park, use the public toilet. And the reason that happened was because we opened up the group fitness component 6 weeks before we opened up the rest of the hall, which was being renovated into a gym. And therefore, on the day we actually opened the whole church hall, we had a queue that went out the front door and down the street. That's how I came to opening up a gym. It was more about group fitness. It was never about the gym equipment, the dumbbells. It was never about any of that. My passion was group fitness, and I loved being on a stage and teaching people. And that's how the whole journey started.
And so these initial people that are lining up outside, how did they come to you? Like, were they friends of yours? Like, how, was it in your network, or how did you kind of grow that initial community when you first got into the church space?
So when you've been telling people that you're going to open a gym and you're jumping all of these obstacles in the journey, you create a bit of a network because everybody's waiting. And I was very fortunate that I did have a community of people who enjoyed coming to my classes at the various clubs that were in Ballarat. So when the doors did open, back in those days, and I say back in the old-fashioned days, we had local newspapers that got delivered. So we had ads in the local newspaper. We were on radio with ads. And then, of course, we tapped into the community of people that had been coming to my classes at the other venues. And so that little queue out the door kind of was made up of them. But what we also realized on the first day was because we were in a church hall at the main roundabout coming into our town. It was CBD. We kind of thought we were going to get business people joining, and that's not what happened. We had people in tracksuit pants, oversized t-shirts, and this very relaxed community coming through the doors. And on that day, we changed our business model. So we went from thinking that we were targeting CBD business people to we had to change it across to we're going to be a non-intimidating environment. So back in those days, it was when everybody wore the less clothing you wore on stage, the more popular you were as an instructor.
Yeah.
So we banned crop tops in our club. It was tank tops, three-quarter leggings. Our business just grew from establishing this inclusive, non-intimidating environment, a place where everybody could come.
And would you say that was rare for the time? Like maybe there wasn't that many gyms or spaces that were catering to that demographic because all these people, something about that message they're resonating with and that's causing them to come out and line up in droves, right?
Yeah, it was extremely rare because, like I said, I'd come from working at these other centers, and it really was a time where, the less fabric on your crop top and your booty pants and all that sort of stuff, the more foot traffic walked into the room. And we just realized, as I said, these people were joining up, that there was a whole community of people out there that were looking for somewhere to work out where they could just be who they are. And if that meant coming in your daggy tracksuit pants and your baggy t-shirt, then that's what was happening. And we kind of have kept that culture. And here we are nearly 23 years later, and we still are an inclusive community, and we still get people using us now as their point of call.
And so that's that same space. I assume now you have evolved and grown out of that same space, or do you still have the church space?
Oh my God, no, I don't have the same space.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to it now, but it must have so many memories filled in it though.
Oh, absolutely. We've got a picture that we put up pretty much every 12 months just
Yeah,
to remind the community of where we came from.
yeah.
Look, we didn't even have a front door. You had to walk down an alley to
Oh my
go through
goodness.
the door that
Yeah,
took you into the church hall. And we were right next to the church. And one of our most funniest moments was we were teaching classes on a Sunday, and somehow the receiver attached to the microphone in the group fitness room somehow ended up in the church, and I was teaching combat, but I was coming through their speakers in the church, through the
yeah,
church service.
yeah.
So they were getting a bit of a live version of combat through their church service.
It was probably the most exciting thing to happen in the church that day, I would assume.
I think it was.
They're like, well, I don't know what this is, but I want to be a part of it. It probably sounded
Yeah,
exciting. So,
absolutely.
okay. But it's awesome that you're still able to be so hands on and still be interacting with your community like that, in addition to everything else that you're doing in the industry. But talk to me for a
Yeah.
second about this male only gym, because as I kind of understand it, just looking at the history, that was quite a bold and one would say maybe a highly scrutinized decision at the time, was it not? So, how did that come about, and why was
Yeah.
that something that you personally wanted to pursue?
Um, so I was kind of like, why don't men have their own facility when we have female only chains? And the building came up opposite a female only chain. And we put in an application to council, which was approved to open up a gym, not single sex, but a gym. But I had to go to the Equal Opportunity Board, and I had to go to the Human Rights Commission, and I had to explain why I should be allowed to open up a men's only facility in Australia because it hadn't been done before. And so we had to go through the process of you fill out all this paperwork, all your reasons why, and then you're actually interviewed by them. And my interview with them was actually over the phone. So back then there was no such thing as Zoom. It was done over the phone if you couldn't drive into the city. And they approved the application. And when they approved the application, oh my God, it just went viral. So we were on radio, we were on Sunrise, we were on the Today Show, so they're breakfast shows here in Australia, on Sky News, Australia's first men's only facility. And Ballarat is the most conservative town in Australia. So to open up a male only facility 20 odd years ago in Australia's most conservative community, it really was a big deal back then. But you know what? There was a need for it because men are entitled to their own space just as women are. And what we found was that over the period of time that we were open, men felt more comfortable working out. It was good for their mental health, even though back then we didn't talk about mental health openly, but it was good for their mental health. And we know that because when the time came for us to put both gyms together and that they were going to be female and male venue, the majority of men moved across. And do you
Mm.
know what? Some of those men are still members now with us.
That's awesome. Okay, so you've been making bold moves in the industry, and it sounds like pushing the boundaries a little bit right from the beginning there, as you can see. But I think it's important. You saw a need and you saw a gap in the market in an area that was underserved, and you pushed for it, even despite what people might think at the time, which is just shows that you have a lot of self conviction. Very important.
Yeah, and sometimes I just go, oh my God, what am I doing?
We all feel like that sometimes, Mel. Do not
We
worry.
do, we do.
Well, and I know that you are a big advocate for independent, nowadays at least, you are a big advocate for independent gym owners, especially having gone through this big journey yourself. So, can we talk a little bit about working with these gym owners and probably seeing yourself how you were back when you started these gyms and put them together? Why is that work now so meaningful for you to be able to help other gym owners in their journey?
For me, it's getting both the independent and the franchisees because I've on both fences, getting them to challenge the status quo, and getting them to really understand who their business is and what they should be delivering in their business, because fitness people, gym owners, are very passionate about what they do, and the majority of us, like myself, we either open because we love group fitness or we love training in a gym. And as we all know, there's so much more than teaching a class or doing a bicep curl down the back. So I like to share my mistakes with other gym owners, but more importantly, just get them to open up their eyes and educate them that they need to be in their business every single day. They need to know what's going on with their community, what's going on with their team, what's going on outside of their club. Keeping an eye on what their competitors are doing, but try not to become obsessed with it. And we're all guilty of doing that. And no, not even, all suppliers in our industry are always keeping an eye on what competitors are doing. So I'm really quite passionate about sitting down with them and helping them with their day-to-day problems and marketing. See, I have a deep passion for marketing as well. And I try to get independents to move away from your stock standard, let's download a picture from Shutterstock. Go out there and spend a day with your members, taking their photos, pay someone to come in and do video, and then use that stuff to market your community to your community.
Yeah, I think the marketing is such a key piece. And you're right, the more you can actually showcase real members, real success stories, real results, that's so much more powerful than just taking an image or a template
Yeah.
and putting things together just to get something out there. But really investing in creating that great quality content. So, so important. You absolutely nailed that.
Yeah, and so probably some of the other things I like to do is obviously I like to market group fitness programming. Not every community, just because down the road has just launched a program, it doesn't mean that you have to launch it too, because you can have different demographic. And unfortunately, sometimes we get very absorbed in what the media is telling us. You got to have HIIT classes. Everybody's going to HIIT classes, or you got to have this and you got to have that. Do you really need to have what the media is telling you? Does your community want that? And it's really interesting how many times you talk to gym owners and you might say to them, how often do you survey your members? And they'll go, oh, I don't. Well, why? Why don't you ask them what they want? Because delivering what they want also helps with retention. And retention is a big issue in our industry at the moment, and it's costing more to get a new member. And, our clients are now looking for value, they're looking for experience, they want more out of their investment. And in order to keep them there, and this is the reality of it, we have to deliver that. And I think we need to, as an industry, focus more on the people that are under our roof as opposed to chasing new people.
And I want to talk a bit more about programming for a second because you touched on it. And as I understand it, you also work with gym owners, especially people who are opening new spaces, perhaps more commonly, to develop their programming. Is that correct for group fitness?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very fortunate because and I still teach group fitness every day. I'm able to get my hands on a lot of different group fitness programming. So I've got a bank of suppliers globally who are always wanting to launch their programs into clubs. So let's say I sit down and have a conversation with you and say, look, my demographic, Mel, it's mostly 40 over. I'm not quite sure what to deliver to them. The first thing is you need to find out when do they actually want to come and do their classes. So is this going to be early morning, mid morning, and nighttime? Find out those things. Find out what type of content they want in their programming. Do they want fast and furious? Do they want strength training? Do they want bands? Do they want Jane Fonda style? So if you can survey them or talk to them on the gym floor, find out what their needs are, and then go out there and select your programming based on that, not doing it the other way around, saying, hey guys, we're gonna launch bang bang and you guys are all gonna love it, come along, and then 60% walk away and go, I didn't really like that. It was okay, but it's not quite what I'm after. And what happens is your members start to look elsewhere. And then somebody new in the area might open up and it's like, let's go try them out. And you and I are both consumers. And what happens when a new coffee shop opens? Hey, let's go try the new coffee shop. Well, you know what? Our community go, hey, the new gym down the road's doing 14 days free. Let's go test them out. So I'm very fortunate to have a large bank of suppliers with group fitness program, and I've been very privileged to being able to teach on the global scale as well. So I haven't just taught here in Australia, I have taught overseas as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, and speaking of what kind of sets gyms apart on this trend of programming, differentiation, and ways that gyms can make themselves stand out, especially when they are still building in those early days. Technology, I know that you have been definitely an early adopter of technology in all forms, as well as new programming. But when gym owners are kind of looking at different trends, whether it's especially now with so many more things in wellness, different modalities, cold therapy, hot therapy, massage, I feel like there's all these new things that gym owners and club owners are being pushed into bringing into their gym to make it more of an experience to make themselves stand out. So how do you help the gym owners that you work with, or what would you advise to people listening if they are looking to set themselves apart? How do they know which trends are worth investing in and which ones are maybe just a fleeting thing that they don't need to pay attention to?
Look, I've been an early adopter. It's not always a good thing, Rochelle. It can cost you a lot of money. So don't go, oh my God, as I said just before, the club down the road is putting in infrared saunas. We've got to do it too. And, I just picked up the local TV rag and it says everybody's doing this, so we've got to do it. Again, I've got to keep reiterating, it comes back to your community and knowing who your community is. Uh, 3, 4 years ago, we put in infrared saunas, oxygen chair, and a massage chair, right? For the first 12 months, very slow uptake, very slow uptake. And I was like, why aren't we getting more people to use the saunas? And then we realized we were selling infrared saunas, but we were forgetting to sell the benefits and the experience of being in the sauna. So once we reversed the way that we were selling our infrared saunas, massage, oxygen chair, the bookings started coming faster. And here we are. Look, our sauna is booked out. One of them is booked out like 5 times today. And so we're constantly getting bookings. So it's not like putting the new tool in your club and say, hey, everyone, I got a new squat rack. Yeah, hey, but why do I use the squat rack? What are the benefits for using the squat rack? So educating your people on why you're putting these things into your club. And for God's sake, don't jump on every single trend that comes out because it costs a lot of money because it's not just buying the product, it's marketing the product, it's educating your team. So that's that consistent turnover of resources that you've got to stay on top of when you do put new products in. The the big thing at the moment is strength training and of course, wellness, infrared recovery. The good thing about strength training is the majority of club owners who run group fitness programming already have the equipment in their group fitness room. So they can be running circuit classes are really, really big. And they don't have to be complex. You can have a step, you've already got that in your group fitness room. You've got a barbell, you use that in your circuit. You've got hand weights, you've got body weight, you've got bands. So these things are already in the group fitness room. So they don't have to necessarily go out and pay license fees. They can be going to workshops, creating the content, delivering, and they can deliver the circuit classes to different age groups. So you can have circuit classes for your older adults, circuit classes for the younger demographic. Then you got your infrared sauna, your over 40s market. Look, they're great because they pay their memberships, their direct debits don't bounce. I said this the other day to someone, and they want to live longer, they want to live stronger, and they'll listen to you on the benefits of the infrared, the recovery boost. So, again, knowing your market and who you can sell your product to. As we know, fitness racing is really big at the moment. So, have a look at your functional. See, that's our functional training zone that you can see in the back there. We've got 3 group fitness studios. So, we know that High Rocks and Spartans Decker is big at the moment. So yeah, of course we're going to get on the trend of that and start delivering those styles of classes to our community because we don't want them going elsewhere because it costs more to get them back. So deliver what they're wanting. It's not that hard. It's just a matter of listening, understanding who your community is, and if you don't have the resources and tools, go out and ask somebody for help. And there's nothing wrong with doing that either.
Yeah, well, I think one thing that you've done really well with your space, and I think that a lot of people can learn from this who are watching this or following along with you, is making your space very adaptable. Like you said, maybe starting with an audit. What equipment do I have? Oh, could this be
Yeah.
used in a high rock style circuit? Could this be used, yeah, like for strength training 101? And seeing what you have before you go out and just drop a huge chunk of money on whatever's trendy, whatever you think that you need, right? Because you might have more in your inventory than you think, right? And especially when
Oh,
it comes to functional fitness, you don't really need anything super crazy for it. Maybe the sled, but a lot of that stuff, balls, like it's not too hard to find.
do you know, seriously, if you walk around your whole gym, and you picked up every medicine ball, every kettlebell, your ropes, because everybody was into ropes a couple of years ago. If you just took all those pickup things and put them into your functional zone or your group fitness room, if you don't have a functional zone, you kind of look at that stuff and you go, oh my God, I've got 10 stations there already. And that's not even including my barbells, my free plates, and my step. So it's not that hard to put some of these concepts together. You don't have to go out and pay license fees. In saying that, though, I go the other side, the younger generation, they love press play and go. So they're your people that you do want to get trained up in your pre-choreographed stuff.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Staying adaptable and moving quickly and investing in your people. That's common things I hear in every interview. And that's what I think sets the really successful people like yourself apart, or at least that gives you that longevity that, I
Yeah,
mean,
it
20,
does. It
what are
does.
we at? 23 years. That's huge. So congrats on
It
that.
is.
Yeah.
It's a long time and a lot of classes.
A lot of classes for sure. And let's talk a little bit more just about leadership and your role kind of in the industry and how I mean, in addition to what you're doing just in your own gym, you've been very active in advocating for gym owners, building collaborations. You do speaking gigs and things like that, and you have a really big focus I've noticed in your work on uplifting women, especially. So I would love to hear, why do you think that is so important for the future of fitness? That collaboration piece rather than just competition, and I think it's common among women especially. Sometimes there's this competitive nature, right, when it comes to
It
studios and
is.
gyms. So
It is.
why is that so important?
Uh, so it comes back to before my fitness industry days. I worked as a receptionist in a real estate office, and I always wanted to sell real estate. And they were looking for a salesperson. So I'm the receptionist, right? They're looking for a salesperson, and I already had my what they called back in those days the sub agent's license to sell. And so the sales team went out to do like their morning rounds, look at new property, da 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 da. And they came back, and I said, "Hey." And at that time, I think I was about 22, 23. I said, "Hey, somebody rang up about the job that was in the newspaper for a salesperson." And let's just say I was 22 at that time. So I go, oh, they're 23. So I sort of, manipulated a bit. They're 23. They've got their sub-agent's license and they've got like 18 months experience in real estate. And they live local. And I was the only girl in an office of 10 male salespeople.
Mm.
And they were all standing around the desk and they go, Get them in, get them in. We want to talk to them. And I was on the swivel chair, Rochelle. So I spun around and go, ta-da, here I am. And it went
I love
down.
it.
It just did not go down well.
Oh no. Oh, crickets, I guess. Not what
And
we wanted.
everybody walked off. They all walked off into their office. And I was kind of like, oh, wow. So I left there and I actually did get a job with a competitor selling real estate. And it was kind of my journey from that moment on that the doors of opportunity should be open to everybody. So it kind of started there. And I went on to run a few real estate offices. And then time went by, I had another child and all of that. And then when I fell into the fitness industry and I wanted to start speaking at events and that, I kept coming up against these obstacles and I couldn't understand in an industry that is supposed to inspire people to be the best that they can be, being our members. And we as professionals, of course, we aspire to be like our peers. I couldn't understand why people weren't opening up the doors and giving opportunity to others and why people weren't collaborating. So I kind of just went, here I am again, and just felt, look, I was older, I was more mature, and I just felt that I needed to do something, and I wanted that to be my legacy.
That's amazing. No, so important, and I think we're seeing more now, more women I think starting to open their own spaces in gyms. But I think it is still quite a male-dominated industry, especially when you're looking at gyms specifically. So the more advocacy we can get, I think the better.
There, there are a lot of men out there that truly do want women to succeed. Uh, and I work alongside a lot of them each day. But in my earlier days, I really did feel that it was very old school, and that there were men in the industry that really struggled with allowing women to have a go. And it has changed a lot over the last decade, but we still have to keep pushing through. And we have to allow women to have a voice where decisions are made. That's really, really important. And it's not necessarily going out there and calling everybody out, because, as I said, there's a lot of men out there that do want women to succeed and will give them opportunity. But we just have to keep pushing forward, being more vocal, and also remembering as women that we have a responsibility to the younger women in our industry, because I'm not going to always be doing what I'm doing. And if I want my industry to succeed and to be what I visualize it to be in the future, then I have to make sure that I give other women opportunity like what has been given to me, because I need somebody to fill my shoes when I do exit the industry.
Yeah. Well, and just speaking a bit more on leadership and the leadership qualities, both men and women, all genders, the leadership qualities today, what do you think that those qualities are that maybe weren't as necessary 20 years ago when you first started? How has that shifted and who do you really see succeeding? Like, what does it actually take just for people that are thinking about getting into this space?
You do have to have empathy. So, very, very early on in life, as a young teenager, who had a very different upbringing to most people, it was a long time before I could give anybody empathy. So I learned throughout my real estate career and more so throughout my fitness industry career that empathy is extremely important. Listening is really important. So I've had to train myself to listen, because I've always been one of those people that wants to express myself. I get an idea in my head and I just cut off everybody in the room, and I'll be like, ah.
I can
So
relate as a group fitness instructor. It sometimes
oh,
feels more like you're
it's terrible.
performing,
It's
putting
terrible.
on
It's
a
like,
show, right? And less of like putting a
yeah, yeah.
service because you,
And
you get so into it.
you do, and you want to share with everybody in the room, and you don't want to forget what you want to share. So I've had to learn to hold back, wait my turn, listen to what other people are saying, be more empathetic to people's needs, but also at the same time staying true to my beliefs, my vision, my mission, my philosophies. But I think the most important thing is just to always remind yourself where you came from, who helped you along the way, and to be that person that does open the doors of opportunity, to be empathetic, and to understand that as you get older, you do get more mature. Because usually when we're young, you know how it goes, you're pretty gung-ho, you're invincible, can do anything. And I believe there's a lot of fantastic women in our industry You know, Sarah Cooperman, who runs her events, there's Mo Hagan, and these are all women that were in this industry long before me. Tracy Minnock, she's doing some incredible things with her menopause program. So don't necessarily, if you're a young person listening to this right now, don't knock off the older people and think, oh, it's different nowadays, because you have so much to learn from us that will probably create lesser heartache for you if you just take the time to step back, listen to your peers, learn from them, and then, yeah, create your own path.
To close things up a little bit here, talk to me a little bit more about, I guess, if you actually let me reword this question a little bit. If you were talking to Melinda from 23 years ago, first of all, I guess I would love to say, what do you think that she would be most surprised about to learn how you evolved, how the industry has evolved, looking at where you are today? How do you think that she would feel?
How would she feel if I had known at 20 that my life was going to take the path that it has taken? If I had a crystal ball and had seen that, um, I think I would have undertaken more education in my mid 20s, because I opened a business not knowing what the hell I was doing. I had a $2 cash tin from the supermarket, and I had a carbon copy receipt book. I had no business experience, though, my mum has been a very successful businesswoman and her partner as well. So I would have undertaken more education. Um, Probably would have closed my mouth a little bit.
Hey, I mean, it's gotten you to where you are today, right? Like, I think that's what sets
And
you apart
had
is people respect that honesty and that direct
I hope
approach.
they do. I truly hope that they do. Rochelle, I left school. I just hope that this inspires someone. I left school at 14 to sell dim sims in a takeaway bar. So I didn't even finish year 9 at school. My husband and I started having a family at 18 or 19. So I was kind of set up for failure from the moment that I left school. I came from my parents, a broken marriage. My grandparents raised me. So I didn't have a lot going for me as a young teenager. I just hope that my journey inspires people to have a go. My biggest learning lesson is I wish I had stayed at school. I wish I had gone back to school in my mid 20s. Do I wish that I had have done anything differently? No, because then maybe wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you today. Maybe I wouldn't be inspiring people to step out and challenge the status quo. But I just want women of the fitness industry to know that they can aspire to be more than what they are today, and they have that right to be more. And if anybody's holding you back, ask yourself why. It's not your fault. Just ask yourself, why is that happening? But don't let it stop you.
Yeah. Well, and that's a perfect segue. We always end our conversations with the same question we give to every guest, and that is, what excites you most about the future of the fitness industry? We've talked about the past, your journey up to now, but I want to hear what you're most excited about for the future.
I love technology, so I'm a bit of a tech turd. That's what they call me here at home.
I love it.
Uh, I see a lot of technology being utilized for people to optimize their health, most definitely, both at home and in gyms.
Yeah.
I see virtual programming changing but growing. I actually see a really big comeback for more group fitness programming. So I see the circle coming around. We're going through the weights thing at the moment. I see groups coming back together, but it being more of a social tool. I've been talking for the last few years about clubs have more than one business model under their roof. They have several business models. I see more independent club owners accepting that and changing their business models to suit that type of style so that they can meet the demand of all of the different demographics. Independents, if they don't take a look of what's going on around them, I do see some of them closing. We are seeing more, high value, low priced operators coming into the industry. Is it going to saturate the market? No, there's always a member for a club, though we complain there is always a member for a club. But
Hmm.
in terms of, yeah, technology is definitely going to be a big thing over the years to come. Look, I'm talking to you. I've got my MyZone switch on, got my Whoop on the other hand. So technology, more group fitness programming, simplify the programming. There's a lot of money to be made in the over 40s market. Take it seriously and
Hmm.
don't, there's going to be more evolving. And I hope that we can just, yes, find, I don't know, find more cures for some of those diseases that are out there now, obesity, cancer, brain tumors is a big conversation at the moment. So I'm hoping that we can find, cures for those types of diseases also.
Yeah, I think there's some solutions on the way. Like I know that you've done some panels on it, and actually the last guest I interviewed, the thing he answered to this question was that he was most excited about, which was a hot take about GLP-1s because it helps a lot of people who have
Yeah.
never been able to make changes to their weights or have some barrier in place for some reason. So there, these solutions and technology and things they are developing, and I think as much as it's tough to see change and people like to push
Oh,
back, you have to learn how to work with the change and follow the wave, right?
yeah, we've got a big wall at work, and it says change is choice, and choice is change
I love that. We need to get that like tattooed on me or something.
on there, and it's true. It's true. And you know what? With the GLP stuff, someone asked me yesterday, what did I think of members being in that space? And I was very, that's not our business. Our business is to help them
Yeah.
be healthier and stronger. If that's the path that they choose, that's their path that they choose. We're here to do the rest for them. And I think that's how we all should be looking at it. It doesn't matter how they're losing weight. Our job is to ensure that they keep the weight off, they stay healthy, they're stronger, they're flexible, educate them a little bit more. But we are not the decision makers of their choices. We're just here to help them.
Yeah, absolutely. Set them up with the healthy habits and the tools to keep that sustainable long term and keep those changes
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, Mel. Well, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you for being so honest and so real. And yeah, plug all your things. Where can people find you? Do you have any upcoming things you want to promote with your gym? Just, yeah, plug yourself here to everybody right now.
Like myself, I would love to be able to do some more speaking. So if anybody's looking for a speaker, please do yell out. I'm on LinkedIn. Always up for a really good Zoom chat, whether it be about group fitness or just about your gym. Our gym is celebrating its 23rd birthday in August, September. So we're
Congrats.
really looking forward to that. But I'm very much in that place now, though I teach every day except Sundays. I'm very much in that place now. I really do want to help other club owners and franchisees and franchisors, when it comes to group fitness programming, marketing. I'm up for a chat because there's nothing that I haven't done in my in my own club, and there's nothing I haven't experienced. So please do reach out on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear from everybody. And thank you so much for asking me. I was very, very excited to be able to jump on the call with you today.
Of course. No, thank you so much, Mel, for taking the time all the way in Australia, by the way. So, for everybody listening, she really made the effort to, we had to coordinate a day in the future, which is perfect. We made it work. So,
Thanks, Trisha. And just for everyone listening, we live on property and we do have kangaroos and koala bears out the front every single morning. So there you go. Drop by anytime.
we do have to clear that up. Maybe one day if I'm ever in Australia, I'll have to come swing by the gym for a workout. I would love that.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening as well. Yeah, make sure you follow us. Let us know what other conversations you would like to see, what other guests, and make sure you share this with a friend who's in the fitness space or even is passionate about fitness and thinking about getting into the industry themselves. Thank you so much.